Hello everybody and welcome to Clydebridge Station. It's been a busy month for rolling stock on the layout. I've purchased two locomotives, one of which you can actually see in the next platform, but that'll come in the January update. However, in the foreground here you can see that we've now got the two Scotrail Express push-pull coaches that I wanted for the push-pull set. I'm going to give my thoughts on that on them in a moment, but what I'm going to do first of all is I'm going to give you a detailed history as best I can of push-pull operations in Scotland, and you'll be surprised to learn that it didn't just apply to the Edinburgh-Glasgow corridor. In the late 1960s, motorway construction was apace in Scotland, with the proposals for the M8 motorway which were eventually adopted, linking Edinburgh with Glasgow. At the time, the Edinburgh-Waverley to Glasgow Queen Street mainline service was operated by Swindon-built intercity DMUs, but these took quite a long time to do the journey. I believe it was well over an hour for the point-to-point journey, and in doing so the speed restriction of the unit, 75 miles per hour, meant it was going to be a slow and tedious journey for the passengers. With that in mind, and with with the planned competition from the Scottish Bus Group with their new express service that was going to go via the M8 motorway, and which still operates today as the 900, operated by Scottish CityLink, the Scottish region of British Rail decided to improve their offering between the two cities as well. And after initial testing with the assistance of the Railway Technical Centre at Derby, a push-pull service was operated at speeds of up to 90 miles per hour between Edinburgh, Waverley and Glasgow Queen Street, using two Class 27/2 locomotives, one at either end of a semi-permanently coupled rake of 6 Mark II-D coaches. Almost always the BSO, the brake standard open, would be at the Glasgow end of the train, and the locomotives were connected to each other via Blue Star multiple working cables that were connected through the coaches. Now this had the disadvantage of the rake of coaches that could be used on the Edinburgh to Glasgow Queen Street push-pull service was somewhat restricted, and they would have to be fitted with Blue Star multiple working cables. But a journey time of about 50 minutes was achieved, with the services stopping at Haymarket, Falkirk High and sometimes Lenzie as well. Reliability was a very serious concern, and it was not uncommon for a Class 37 or a Class 20 to substitute for one of the Class 27s. Major modifications had to be done to the Class 27s. Driver guard communication and automatic fire extinguishers had to be employed on the locomotives, and they were pretty well worn out by the time their duties ended, which is not surprising as they were not really designed for such intense work, strolling around the West Highlands, the Far North lines, or ambling around central Scotland to Glasgow via Annan, or more sorts of duties that they were able to do. Class 47s and Class 50s couldn't be spared at the time, as the regions that operated them needed them for their own fast services. But the development of the high-speed train in the 1970s was what was to assist in the replacement of the Class 27 push-pull combinations. The new system employed just one locomotive, a Class 47, and the Class 47s came from the ETH equipped subclass 47/4. An initial 12 of them were converted, later increased to 16 as the push-pull operation expanded, and they were identifiable by having these jumper cables on the nose ends, as you can see there. The system that was employed was not time division multiplex, as a lot of people have said it was, but it was an earlier form of TDM, and it was called the RCH, or Railway Clearinghouse Jumper System. And what it employed was jumper cables, basically coach lighting jumpers that ran through the coaches, so it meant that no extra cabling was required. At the remote end of the new push-pull trains was the novel idea of a driving brake second open, standard open, or DBSO, and this is one of them here. 13 of these were constructed, although one was written off in an accident at Polmont in 1984, and so 9714 was converted from a DBSO. And the idea of how a BSO looked like prior to conversion can be actually shown with the one there in platform 5, forming an intercity rake. The driving brake standard opens were equipped with a half-sized cab. The gangway connection was obviously sealed off, and they were fitted with head and tail lights. And the RCH jumper system would operate through the coaches into a little decoder in DBSO, allowing the driver to control the locomotive from the remote end of the train. Although it should be pointed out that in the push mode there was a small delay of about a couple of seconds between a brake application being made in the cab of the DBSO and the brakes therefore being applied on the locomotive for safety reasons. Because obviously when a train was in push mode, all the weight is at the locomotive end, and it could cause a sort of piggyback effect if the brakes were applied too early. To help modernise service for its launch in 1979, a rake of MK3 locomotive haul coaches were transferred in from the London Midland region, and later on, as push-pull operation expanded, some Mk2s that had been made surplus with the introduction of HSTs elsewhere got brought up to Scotland as well, and were used likewise on the push-pull trains. These would work to Aberdeen from either Glasgow, Queenstown or Edinburgh Waverley. This combination worked brilliantly, but in the late 1980s, replacements in the shape of sprinter DMUs, namely the Class 158 Express sprinters, would start to come on stream, and in 1989 47714 was transferred south to Old Oak Common, with 47705 following shortly afterwards. DBSO 9714 also left Scotland around this time. The push-pull locomotives were transferred south gradually and were used by Network South East on Paddington to Oxford and Waterloo to Exeter services, and some of them, such as 47712 Lady Diana Spencer, was transferred to the parcels sector. I believe 12 went to NSC, 4 went to parcels, although 47703 and 47706 were later transferred from parcels to NSE. One modification that was made to the Class 47-4s that were made into Class 47-7s that I haven't mentioned yet is that they were actually equipped also with long-range fuel tanks. A modification that was later made to several Class 47-4s such as Tamar here, and you could see the long-range fuel tanks, and they were called 47-8s. They were virtually a 47-7 without the RCH jumper system cables. The DBSOs, as they were made surplus, were transferred to Intercity, and they had the front 10s rebuilt, eliminating the gangway panel that you see here and making a flush cab end, which I think didn't look as good as this. And the RCH jumper system modules were taken out, and it was replaced with time division multiplex, and they worked in London Liverpool Street to Norwich intercity services with Class 86/2s in push-pull formation. Most of the DBSOs still survive, and I'm happy to say that one of them has been preserved, along with a 47/7 47712, and the plan is to actually install time division multiplex equipment in 47712, which will eventually allow a push-pull operation to be done on a preserved railway, and I cannot wait for that date to happen. Having detailed the history of the push-pull operation, I think it's only appropriate now that I go on to look at the Oxford Rail Mark III coaches as originally planned in this programme. They have been much delayed. They were due to appear in October 2018, but their introduction has been delayed until January. Now, they were actually released on the 11th of January to retailers. This is going out on the 12th of January, so my local hobby shop, Scooney Hobbies in Kirkcaldy, had a couple of these laid aside for me. The Oxford Rail Mark IIIs are basically a similar product to the Intercity Mark IIIs that Oxford Rail have produced in the past. The coaches themselves are detailed by David Watson in one of his updates at Dean Park Station, so I can't really compare the coaches to that as I don't have the programme on hand. But I'm going to make one interesting observation straight away, and I think a lot of you will have picked up on this, and I'll move the camera down here. And you can see there's a detailed colour difference between that shade there and that shade there. That's the only thing I noticed about the livery. The blue stripe looks to be the same sort of blue stripe colour as originally put onto the DBSO. The finish of the paint on the DBSO is very good, but it is a little bit disappointing on the Oxford Rail one. The sharp-eyed among you, and I are actually one of these, notice that there's a bit of an overlap just there where some of the paint may have went over for some reason. I don't know why. But it looks like they've masked it up, and it could just be a join in the coach, but I suspect it's not, but it's masked up. And it looks to be a little bit thicker than what it should be. The the coaches themselves have the branding and numbering in the correct place, and I'll explain about the actual numbering of the locomotives of the coaches in a minute for you. If I actually now go up here onto the TSO and show you again, it's the same sort of story. The paint seems to have just overlapped a bit, and I think the stripe has either been masked up wrong. I am not sure why that is the case at all. But it looks, if you compare it to the locomotive there, it looks to be the same colour, the blue stripe. That was actually something that worried a lot of people, myself included, when the pre-production photos were announced. The blue stripe looked to be a bit different in shade. It appears not to be the case, but certainly this bit here looks to be silver, whereas I think it might ought to be that colour instead as on the Bachmann DBSO. And I think there'll be a lot of people who'll be actually trying to respray that. The steps are something that David Watson has noted in the past here, a bit flimsy, and you can see one of them has actually come out here on the composite coach. That happened when I was putting in the pipe coupling, because as you'll see I've put in the pipe couplings there from Bachmann, because this is going to be permanently coupled, and I've noticed that in push mode they were derailing, and also in pull mode going down the ramp, so the pipe coupling should hopefully alleviate that. It does not prevent me from showing you some of the detail in the actual coach itself there. The detailing is superbly picked out there, as is the yellow doors, that is correct. And the Scotrail Express legend, which you can see there, is correctly applied. In some cases that was actually blue, but in some cases it was black, and Oxford Rail have picked it out in black there. And they've also got the seats there, the seat numbers, and it's non-smoking. The silver frames on the windows are literally that. They're actually not on the surrounds, but they're on the actual Perspex glass itself that you can see there, which is a little disappointing because I think it doesn't really pick out the true effect of that. If I actually carry along here as well, I haven't put the detailing on that was supplied in the pack, but there is some detailing supplied, and it looks to be in pretty good shape. But the steps on these are flimsy, and David Watson's already alluded to that, so I think I'm going to have to end up getting some super glue and fixing that at some point. The Hornby and Lima toolings actually use the steps are part of the moulding, but for some reason Oxford Rail have decided that they wish to actually do it separately. I don't know why. The composite coaches, I must explain to everybody. Whoops, I just got there. Initially these were actually full-length first class coaches, but as there wasn't a lot of demand for first class between Edinburgh and Glasgow, it was decided to convert the coaches into 7 Mark IIIs into composites, and usually the first class section would be coupled next to the DBSO. They were renumbered, and it was simply done by adding 900 to the number, so 11907 that you see here was previously 11007. The coaches themselves, I've put the pipe couplings in because they did run a bit close together and they were going piggyback over each other and causing derailments. I'm still having problems with the DBSO derailing in push mode. However, the push-pull train will almost always be going into platform number 1 anyway, so I don't anticipate too much problems with that. So that's the DBSO and the Mark III coaches for the push-pull train explained. Would I recommend these to you? Well, yes I would, because they're the only ones on the market. Bachmann have not brought out Mark IIIs in Scotrail livery. Hornby's 2019 product range likewise has not brought out Mark IIIs in Scotrail livery, so your options are really limited, and unless you actually get some Hornby or Bachmann Mark IIIs and then respray them into Scotrail livery, this is the only ready to run option. And another disappointing thing for those who do want it, I am not one of them though, is that while the Bachmann Mark IIF DBSO has got DCC fitted as standard, it's not an option on these coaches. They come without the DCC at all, and if you're wanting interior lights on them, you're going to have to actually retrofit that yourself. They're otherwise excellently presented, but to be honest with you, I'm only going to give these a 7 out of 10. They could have done a lot better for some people, but like I say, they're the only ones on the market ready to run, so you have no choice, I'm afraid, except to go for them if you want them. Now that completes this report, and I'm sure you'll all have your own thoughts on the DBSOs and on the Oxford Rail Mark IIIs. If you are actually interested in formations of these, if you go and put Scotrail Express Push Pull into your internet search engine and then look for images, you'll probably get images with these coaches that will give you some ideas as to how they run. Sawyer Bukau, I think his name is, on YouTube. He's actually got a couple of videos at Glasgow Queen Street in 1989, and you do see push-pull trains in there as well. So it's worth checking him out too. Now I'm sure that David Watson, who runs the Dean Park layout, will be interested in these as well, and he, as I say, has got the intercity liveried Mark IIIs from Oxford Rail, so it'll be interesting to see how these shake up against his coaches, and it'll be interesting to see what he thinks of it, and I'm sure that he will have his own opinions on them. Speaking of Dean Park Station, he's actually responsible for the DBSO at the end here, but he's also responsible for something else, which is that loco there, which will be detailed in the January update from Clydebridge station. But I'll have to keep you waiting for that. Anyway, if you are going to buy these coaches, I hope you enjoy having fun with them. And I must make one last point to you. I mentioned that I've used the pipe couplings in them because I'm going to keep them permanently coupled, and that's actually making it easier for them to operate in push mode. Oxford Rail do not supply these pipe couplings as standard. These were ones that I got from Bachmann coaches that do not need the pipe couplings at both ends, which is this one here and that one, and another one of these that's on the sleeper train. And there was one supplied with the DBSO, so that's how I've been able to do that. So if you are wanting to use pipe couplings, you will need to obtain them from somewhere else because Oxford Rail do not supply them as standard. I hope that's given you some food for thought, and let me know what you think. I'll see you for the January update. In the meantime, thank you very much for watching, and bye bye for now.